Today's session is titled How AI Connected Health and Telemedicine Are Transforming Healthcare. I was listening to the previous session on talent and skills and what we need for fostering the SME business in India. And healthcare is no different because we need different skill sets. We need innovative solutions which will cater to the requirements of our country. And to discuss about the challenges and also some of the solutions which will come out of the SMEs, I have a very distinguished panel today. The first member of my panel today is Rajiv Sikka. Rajiv is the CIO of Medanta Hospitals. He's the group CIO for Medanta's multi-super specialty group of hospitals, which run specialist hospitals across India. And Rajiv also has 3 decades of experience at senior management level and has been in a services company and a product company like Polaris for 13 years prior to joining his current role. And he writes in various forums on health tech subjects and a regular panelist on digital initiatives in healthcare. So welcome, Rajiv. My next panelist is Arvind Shivaramakrishnan. He's the CIO for Apollo Hospitals. Arvind is based in Chennai and loves Carnatic music. We don't have time for music, Arvind. Otherwise, we would love to hear some music from down south. He leads the Apollo Hospitals IT initiatives, of course, and also leads the digital transformation initiatives at the Apollo Hospital Group. Arvind has led the Apollo team to be recognized with the HIMSS Elsevier Award in 3 years, actually, 2013, 16, and 18, for outstanding use of IT in patient care delivery in Asia Pacific. So it will be interesting to hear from Arvind what constitutes a good patient care and how we can actually use innovative solutions to make it better. And Arvind was with Healthcare Practice of Computer Science Corporation, CSC, in Michigan, USA. So it feels great to be a co-panelist with Arvind because we can, CSC is again an organization which deals with healthcare packages and HMS, healthcare management system for hospitals across the globe. So Arvind, it will be good to share some information on those aspects also. And finally, I have Nandkishore Domne. Nandkishore is closer to my city, Bangalore, and I'm a customer of his actually.
Oh, I see. My pleasure.
So I visit the Manipal hospitals for all our health requirements, and God forbid it should be as low as possible. But having said that, Nandkishore has been in Manipal Health Enterprises, which constitute the Manipal hospitals, for 12 years. He's the CIO and vice president there. Prior to that, he was in the GMR group and also in the Hindalco Industries group. Both Arvind and Nandkishore are CHCIO certified. CHCIO is a very prestigious certification from College of Health Information Executives, USA. And it's a great my great privilege to have all three of you in this panel and start the discussion on what constitutes, I would say, an innovative solution for healthcare, number one, and number two is how can SMEs look at this sector more diligently and come out with more innovative solutions, because the one thing I hear always that large hospital means they will look at large packages or large solutions, and there's nothing we can play around with in these institutions. So we want to break that myth and come with some innovative discussion. So to start with, let me start with Rajiv. Rajiv, what I was actually very intrigued by the way the healthcare and IoT and AI are getting interlinked. I use an Apple smartwatch, which you can see here. And guess what? In the new Apple Watch OS, they have incorporated a feature called hand wash. So it actually, when I'm washing my hands with the soap and water, it actually times down to 20 seconds, because 20 seconds is what we have to wash our hands with, as per WHO guidelines and guidelines. So I was wondering that, in addition to Strava tracking my cycling, my walks, evening walks, my health parameters, and now it's also tracking my hand washing, right? So where are we going with this technology? And I'm wondering whether it's being stored to send it to my insurance company or healthcare provider, saying that Kalol has not washed his hands today for the specific number of times or whatever, and it might lead to a further complication of healthcare policies and healthcare support systems and also insurance systems. I thought I'll start with the story because that will help us to build around why AI healthcare and connected healthcare becomes so critical in the life we lead today, and with all the technologies which are coming to us from different sources across the world, right? And also in India. So what do you think, and for SME segment, or my friends who are listening to the SME segment discussion, what according to you is the state of the nation as far as healthcare is concerned, and where do you think the business is going? Rajiv, we can't hear you. I think you're on mute.
Audible now?
Yeah.
Sure.
Very much.
Sure. Yeah. I think very rightly, future of the healthcare as far as India context, including in the global market, is from the hospital. And this is very important. We don't have that kind of a conventional infrastructure which can suffice for filling the gap which the country has. So this is very clear that tech will play an important role, and we definitely want patients to be treated to the extent possible away from the hospital. So in this case, connected world will come into picture, and connected for me is nothing but the digital world. So you took the example of Apple. So this, according to me, is more of a consumer-oriented health devices. On top of that, there are devices which can be leveraged even in the enterprise world, like a hospital. I'll give you a simple example. You took the example of IoT, big data, and AI. We realize that in a ICU where a patient is connected to multiple devices, and these devices share information on a bedside monitor which goes to a central monitor in almost like per minute, which means that if 6 vitals are getting monitored in a day, we have more than 20,000 odd vitals getting tracked, recorded in the central monitor, and it is there for a couple of days. Now just imagine that if a doctor has to see all of these 20K parameters 24/7, yet in each you have multiple such doctors. But challenge is that senior doctors or senior interventionists can't be there in each ICU. The country has severe shortage. So what we want is that this information of 20,000 data points, if it can be relayed to a doctor through some mechanism in this handheld device, by which not just the lab and other stories are quite common now, but continuous stream of 20,000 or 6-7 odd vitals, almost 24/7 is available to doctor, and he can see it and he can take a call. So this is one example where connected devices will come into picture. So this is only one part of the story. The second part of the story is that if by looking into this information, I can figure it out, what is the condition, what would be the condition of my patient 2 years from now, 2 hours from now, 4 hours from now, whether the patient is going into severe condition or is going into a green zone, which means he can be downgraded to a SDU or to a normal ward. So those kind of stuff is more on the AI side. Yet in Medanta, as an example, we have been able to ensure that we have roughly 3 large ICUs constituting 60 odd beds, streaming information from bedside to doctors in the handheld device, but have been able to come out with an AI which can tell me whether the patient is going into sepsis or when he'll go into sepsis or when he'll come out of the sepsis. Those algorithms we have not been able to crack, and this is one such example of innovation which probably can play an important role by bringing some, data scientists, clinicians, computer engineers, and come out with a solution which is very, very suitable to country like India. That's one example of innovative solution which I think will play an important role for country where shortage of ICU beds, shortage of interventional doctors who manages this ICUs is very high. It's very, very high.
Got it. Thanks. I think we'll come back to that, Rajiv, in terms of what constitutes a good solution for India, because we know that there will be affordability parameters, scalability, quality, and so on and so forth. So we'll come back to that. Before that, let me ask Arvind. Arvind, from the time the COVID pandemic hit us, and that was way back in March, I'm talking about India, hospitals and I hear my friends saying that some of my friends in the IT industry saying that business is booming, right? As far as healthcare is concerned. So what are your thoughts on that? And what do you think Apollo is doing? And where is Apollo going with the, I would say, the pandemic slowly fading away and new things coming into the forefront, obviously. And healthcare requirements are, changing as we see it, because during the pandemic, we have seen that, telehealth and healthcare with video calls were becoming important. So where do you see this moving in the new paradigm?
Well, definitely new paradigm is indeed there. Things have changed. The comment on business is booming is rather unfortunate because and this is something that also everybody needs to understand from a very business context, that everybody in need is not necessarily if I'm struggling to get the right word so that I'm not misunderstood, but every person in health need is not a business profit, and we need to understand that. Having said that, if we do it right in terms of the nature of care that is required, then profiting out of that aspect of the caregiving that is there, which is part of the business process, and I'm talking like a business manager, I'm not talking like a healthcare provider here, is something that is possible. But it's not, especially with the pandemic like COVID, you must understand that there is not much of activities that are done beyond intensive care, which is very, very difficult, very, very, very difficult, with huge price capping.
Right.
So, and the price capping, again, you can argue multiple directions, but I'm going to stay focused on our conversation related to technology aspects. But with those price cappings, you have a hospital that is very difficult to sustain and run at higher levels of patient care, patient safety, and infection control than which is normal. So that's one aspect. The second aspect is all the regular hospital activities in terms of the care providing has come down to a very, very small number. And that's primarily because lots of the other treatment methods were, reduced, and it's part of the lockdown. It's part of the fear of people not wanting to come into hospitals. It's also part of healthcare institutions trying to create capacity by removing, all the other, surgeries that would normally happen on a normal day. So with that, I think the healthcare industry is definitely going through a very, very, very difficult period. Having said that, yes, all the other industries are going through an equally or more difficult period, and the expectation that healthcare will bounce back is probably the fastest. So if we compare all the industries and say the industry segment will come back to normal the soonest, I think putting our bets on healthcare is very fair, and that's good for this part of the industry and all the segments that are dependent on this part of the industry. So now when we go into the alternate mode of or the new normal, as we all are calling it now, yes, we have found that with technology, alternate methods of providing healthcare now have been proven to be sustainable. They've been proven to be operational. And please remember, all these did exist before March. It is March that brought us into a sudden willingness for realization because of the difficult situation that was thrust, and thereby the alternate model which was necessarily thrust on us has started finding the rationale between all of us, and we are willing to accept it. Right. What is going to be the percentage of this new normal with the old way of working? I think time is only going to say what's going to be are we going to completely go back to the old after things get back to normal? I doubt. What's going to be the percentage mix? I think it's there. But we have found an additional method by which healthcare delivery is operatable and sustainable, and health delivery can happen. We have found a method through technology and all the innovation that is done, some of the work that Rajiv was mentioning also, all of it, we have found additional capacity in the entire realm of healthcare. And that capacity was something that all of us were concerned that we don't have for a planet of more than 1 billion people on how are we going to service everybody's healthcare. We have found that the right mix and the right combination of people and process definitely is able to bring in a good capacity to service valid healthcare. What are the grades of healthcare that need to be serviced? Again, I'm not getting into conversations. So are you going to keep an ICU patient in the house and service? No, those are frivolous conversations. Correct. We're talking about the right healthcare being provided to the right person by employing all the tools and techniques. So I think that new normal with technology, with a partnership of several technology-enabled organizations who service the core healthcare, I think that combination is very precious, and that's got a lot of benefit, and I think it's got a lot of very positive forecast as time progresses, and that definitely means that it's got a positive and a forward-looking business forecast also in terms of business outlooks, in terms of financial numbers and economics. I think it's got a good outlook there.
So when you said that it was existing prior to March and only it accelerated post-March, it reminds me of our situation in Dell Technologies also. Work from home was prevalent in for example, in Dell. Prior to March, maybe 20% were working from home on a regular basis. But we had this, work from home situation or policies governed for the last 10 years, I would say. But effective 16th March or 13th March, whatever that date is, 100% moved to work from home. And that's a huge change, right? And serving our customers from home, making sure we have the right level of devices for everyone, network in place, VPN in place, security in place, because the security threat becomes more. That's the continuity we are talking about, right? And same thing will happen in healthcare, I understand. So coming to Nandkishore, I have seen the way Manipal did the physical transformation of the hospital while keeping the business active. It's like changing the tires of or changing the engine of the aircraft while it's flying, right? I've seen the transformation from where it was to what it is now today without, disruption to OPD services or, hospital services. So while doing all this, you have undergone IT transformations also. I'm sure there are a lot of IT transformations you had to undertake. But my question is, what is in a CEO's mind, just to tell the audience here that what does the CIO think while these transformations are going on, or while the healthcare policies are being reconstituted as far as the country is concerned? What's in the CEO's mind, and how do you think? And how does SMEs play a role there?
First of all, good afternoon, and thanks for this opportunity. I really appreciate this. This question is, very, very important as to what is there in the CEO's mind, because what happens is that in Manipal, the IT falls under the CEO's, portfolio in terms of the vision part of it. Now, coming to the present situation, and then I will come back to the questions, later. The COVID situation was, the most crucial and challenging situation after World War II. This was most challenging. And then also at the same time, this gave us a lot of learning to all of us at a personal level, professional level, and also for the organization. Irrespective of the industry, every industry, whether it is banking, healthcare, or whatever industry, every industry actually had some lessons from this kind of pandemic situation. And coming back to the healthcare, definitely, we sort of learned from the situation, and we tried to make sure that how we can be more and more digital. And the whole idea was how do we provide the care, which is a contactless kind of care. We will make it more digital, and this was probably a step towards the consumerization of healthcare, right? So you are putting it in the hands of a consumer. So consumer is deciding, how he wants to avail your services, how he wants to book the appointment, how he wants to make the payment. Okay, this also includes your home care services, because they are now not willing to come to hospital. And it won't be a surprise to all of us. Like as you said, the Dell has completely moved to work from home. One fine day, the entire OPD is virtual. Nobody is coming for OPD services. Right. It's only emergency and maybe IP. That's it.
Right.
The large facilities what we have for OPD, typically in one of the flagship hospitals in Manipal, probably I might see some 2,000 patients on Saturday, which is a busy day. I won't be able to see more than 200 patients. So everyone else is moved to the virtual platforms. And they're quite comfortable with that platform. Personally, I have used it for myself and for my family members. I'm quite okay with that. And even today, I'm using it. I'm so scared to go to, the hospital is next door. I still don't want to go to the hospital.
Right.
So, having said that, when we are moving more and more digital, more and more virtual, definitely FMEs play a very important role there. Those technologies were a kind of an option to us yesterday, on 3 March, as Arvind has said, and you also mentioned that, those technologies are not an option. They are mandatory to survive. It's a sustenance for us, right? So we have to bring them in the mainstream, make them part of the main strategy for us, okay? And try and make sure that we are able to meet the customer expectations to the extent possible, the way they want it. So we are not able to dictate things now. It's basically the customer who is wanting those kind of services.
Got it.
So this is one part of it. Coming back to your question, what is the mind of the CEO? And definitely we had a lot of those meetings, discussions virtually during COVID time. And I also had the insights into what the leadership team thinks about it. So obviously the main concern was how do you, cut down your fixed costs during such pandemic period? Because as far as the facilities there, systems are there, there is a fixed cost associated with that. Now, while the revenue is not coming, but there is a fixed cost which is going. So how IT can help us to optimize this, fixed cost? It may not be completely an IT option there. There could be some renegotiations, the payment terms, the contract reviews and all that, downsizing of some services during pandemic. So cost control was one important point in the mind of the CEO. The second most important was that how do we do these virtual meetings, virtual consultations with doctors, and not just the consultation, but also can we provide the pharmacy orders, can we provide the lab orders at home? So can it be an integrated solution where patient can come in, they can register, they can book the appointment, make the payment, get the prescription, get the medicines delivered at their home, get the blood sample from them and the report, and then subsequent reviews and the doctor's consultation. So that entire cycle, that was the second. The third thing was that the back office functions, which is supply chain, finance, and HR system. How do we enable them also to work from home in a way they are equally efficient, or rather they are more efficient when they work from home? So setting up that kind of infrastructure in place. So therefore, it was three things. The fixed cost was the major concern for that point of time, and even today. So we were able to renegotiate our contracts. Second was how are we able to connect patients virtually and make sure that at least we are able to continue that part of the business. While it may not be a substitute for the entire OPD or whatever, because the main business comes from the IPD still, right? But that was one area. Third was how the back office functions can actually function smoothly through the virtual platform. These are two important things on top of his mind.
Got it. So Rajiv, we have very little time, so let's quickly move to way forward for the SMEs and what SMEs should look forward to from esteemed CIOs like you, because the buzzword is big hospitals, institutions always go for package solutions and huge cost involved there. So what is your message to our SME
Sure.
listening here?
Perfect. So I think both Arvind and Nand talked about a solution which is not just innovative but also affordable, because cost is always there in the mind of people. I think I'll add one more stuff, is that orientation to a hospital environment. I've seen a lot of software developers who have absolutely no context either on the process side or on the scale of operation side. Running a OPD clinic in a 20-chamber OPD versus the size of hospitals which Nand, Arvind or myself manages is a huge difference. So instead of sitting in their typical office, they should come and develop their code, because we are not looking for programmer, we are not looking for coders, we are looking for someone who can find a solution to a real life problem. And they should come forward, and we are more than willing to accommodate them for a POC. Commercial terms can be agreed upon.
Right. So, Arvind, can you touch upon the scalability aspect and quality aspect of what we develop for India? Because those will be primary drivers, because we operate hospitals in remote areas where, power fluctuations and the type of things which can happen to hardware is quite unexpected. So what is your message to SMEs on those fronts?
I think when it comes to solutions, I don't think we should be looking at it as a metro city and a rural city or a tier 3 city. I think the solution should be scalable, and the solution should be sustainable irrespective of the condition. That is one. The second aspect, solutions need to be built to ensure that they consume minimum resources. That means that overall you're able to run it at high levels of efficiency, rather than saying that it's going to start off with a high bandwidth or a high memory capacity or anything of that sort. So I think solution sustainability should be there. Then clearly from an India standpoint, the solution should be prone and suitable for the Indian economic market. We cannot talk in dollar terms and say that it is going to cost $99 in the United States. The purchasing power of $1 in the United States is way different from the purchasing power of 70 rupees in India. There's a big difference in terms of that. And you will have to look at the valid situation of Indian healthcare, whether it is private healthcare or public healthcare, does not matter. So the solution has to be sustainable to Indian economics. And last but definitely, the support, because healthcare is about a long period of time. It is not a proof of concept. It is not about demonstrating innovation. It is about how we can put it in 360. That's
Right. So, Nandkishore, we were discussing about understanding the complete technology stack and how they interoperate. I've seen that Manipal has discontinued using a Watson. So, what is your thought on the SME understanding the complete stack and then coming up with a solution?
See, I mean, in a very summarized manner, I would say that it's economic viability, which plays an important role, because even today the Indian markets and Indian consumers are very much price sensitive, right? So it has to make sense. If I have to say in the layman's term, it has to make sense financially, and also the commercial viability, financial viability for the organization for such solutions. Definitely, there is a huge market, but it has to make sense financially.
Right, and understanding of the complete stack is important, because
so the point is that, as I said, I think in one of the panel, that you can't airdrop some solution which is made in America and then you just put it here and try to fix it. So basically what you do is that rather than giving me, something which is a ready solution, if they can come and understand what is the current challenge, the current landscape, and try to plug in something which can complement the existing system, right? Yes. And work seamlessly along with the existing system, that will give more value, for me, rather than me replacing something and putting a new piece. every time when the new service provider comes to me. So they have to understand how the current landscape in our hospital works. Okay, unless they understand the nuances of this whole thing, I don't think any solution they can just put it in the hospital and it works. It won't work.
This is like talking about the the telehealth solution, which I think Rajiv and us we were discussing. It has to talk to 9 different systems within the hospital itself.
So even in Manipal, for that matter, when we made this video consultation, it is not a Zoom based or a WhatsApp video based or a it is part of that app, and the patient remains very much within that.
Yeah. I'm winding up. Don't worry, I'm winding up. Okay. Thank you so much, Arvind, Rajiv and Nandkishore.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure talking to you, all of you. For my SME friends here who are listening here, just remember 2 things. One is, of course, that large hospitals, big hospitals, I'm not averse to SME solutions, which is important. You can always get in touch with all the hospitals because they're looking at innovative solutions made for India, made by India. But keep in mind, it has to be cost effective, number 1. Number 2, it has to be sustainable. It has to scale because in India, everything is about scale, right? I can't say my solution can't scale beyond 2 million users or whatever, 2 million subscribers. So sustainability and scalability are key. And last but not the least, affordability will be a prime driver of whatever we do. So we see a roadmap behind Rajiv. We'll have more discussion about how that roadmap has helped doctors. But let's understand that doctors are also perfectly in sync with what IT firms are doing and CIOs are doing. More on Rajiv later. But for the moment, thank you very much. Thank you.